My name is Edward Bennett. I'm 68 years old, retired steel mill worker. Last night, my son Max, the dentist, dumped me at a Valero gas station at 1 a.m., 200 miles from home. He said I ruined everything when I told his in-laws about working 3 jobs to pay his medical school tuition. Sitting on that curb with a $420 Greyhound ticket, I thought about 23 years of sacrifice. The $320,000 in tuition bills, night shifts at Bethlehem Steel, weekend taxi driving, the 2019 accident that took 2 fingers. Max doesn't know about the $8.2 million settlement, doesn't know I invested smart in real estate, doesn't know my PNC bank account shows $29,247,000. I decided staying silent was right. Now, it's time to change my will. Let me back up, give you the full picture. I live alone in a small apartment in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Same place I've had for 15 years. Honda Civic with 180,000 miles sits in the parking lot. Nothing fancy. That's how I like it. Max lives in Austin now. Big house, successful dental practice, makes around $450,000 a year. He's done well for himself. Real well. We don't talk much anymore. Maybe once a month. Usually when he needs something or feels guilty enough to call. His wife Lenora seems nice. Pharmacist. Korean-American family, very accomplished. I've met them twice. Both times Max looked nervous the whole time. 3 weeks ago, Max called with an invitation. Dad, Lenora's parents want to meet you. They're having a family dinner in Austin. You should come. His voice sounded different, strained. That's nice of them, son. Yeah, well, it's important to Lenora. You know how families are. I knew what he meant. Appearances matter. Having a father shows responsibility. I'd be honored to meet them. Great. I'll book your flight. Just dress nice, okay? They're good people. The way he said good people made my chest tight, like I wasn't. I bought a suit from Men's Warehouse. First suit I'd owned in 20 years. The kid working there was Max's age, polite, respectful, called me sir, made me think about respect, how it's earned, how it's lost. The flight to Austin cost $280. Max paid for it, but I saw the receipt in his email. He upgraded himself to first class, put me in coach, small thing, but telling. I arrived Friday evening. Max picked me up at the airport in his BMW. Leather seats, satellite radio, the works. How was the flight, Dad? Fine, thank you for arranging it. No problem. Listen, about tomorrow night. Here it comes, I thought. Lenora's parents are well-educated people. Her dad's a radiologist, makes good money. They're used to a certain level of conversation. I'll be respectful, Max. I know you will. It's just, maybe don't mention the steel mill stuff. Or the accident. They might not understand blue-collar work. Blue-collar work, like it was something shameful. What should I say I did? I don't know. Maybe maintenance supervisor? That sounds better. Maintenance supervisor. 23 years of sacrifice reduced to a lie. Whatever you think is best, son. He relaxed then, turned up the music. I looked out the window at Austin's skyline. Pretty city, expensive. The kind of place you need serious money to live well. Max had that money now, because of me. But he didn't want anyone knowing where it came from. We had dinner that night at some trendy restaurant, $40 steaks. Max paid without blinking, ordered wine I couldn't pronounce. This is nice, I said. Yeah, Lenora and I come here a lot. It's our place. Our place, like I didn't belong. The server was friendly, asked about my visit. My dad's in town for the weekend, Max said quickly. First time in Austin. First time anywhere with you in 3 years, I thought. But I just smiled and nodded. After dinner, Max drove me to the hotel, extended stay America. Nothing fancy, but clean. Pick you up at 6 tomorrow, he said. Dinner's at 7. I'll be ready. He hesitated at the door. For a second, he looked like the little boy who used to wait up for me after my night shifts. Dad, thanks for coming. It means a lot to Lenora. What about to you? He didn't answer. Just said good night and left. I sat on the hotel bed, looking at my reflection in the dark window. 68 years old, gray hair. Hands scarred from decades of honest work. Hands that built Max's future. Tomorrow I'd meet his new family. Pretend to be someone I wasn't. For him. Always for him. Saturday arrived gray and drizzly. I put on my new suit, polished my shoes, and waited in the hotel lobby. Max picked me up in a different car. Lenora's white Lexus. Lenora's already at her parents' house, helping with dinner, he said. Fair warning, her mom's kind of intense about family stuff. I'll make a good impression. I know you will. But his knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The Morgan house sat in an upscale neighborhood called Westlake Hills. Big lawns, 3-car garages, the American dream in brick and stone. Max parked behind a Mercedes sedan. That's Dr. Morgan's car, he said. He drives a Tesla to work, but keeps the Mercedes for weekends. Why was he telling me this? To impress me? To remind me I didn't belong? The front door opened before we reached it. Lenora stepped out, beautiful in a blue dress. Behind her came her parents. Dr. Richard Morgan looked exactly like I'd pictured. Tall, silver-haired, confident handshake. His wife Helen was elegant, with careful makeup and jewelry that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Mr. Bennett, so wonderful to finally meet you, Dr. Morgan said. Call me Eddie. Thank you for having me. Please come in. Helen's made her famous Korean barbecue, family recipe. The house was stunning. High ceilings, art on the walls, furniture that belonged in magazines, everything perfect. We sat in the living room, crystal glasses filled with wine I couldn't identify. Max tells us you're retired, Helen said. What kind of work did you do? I glanced at Max. He was staring at his wine. I was a maintenance supervisor, I said. The lie tasted bitter. That must have been challenging work, Dr. Morgan said politely. It had its moments. Lenora emerged from the kitchen. Dinner's ready. We moved to a dining room that could seat 12. The table was set with china and silver. Helen had gone all out. The food was incredible. Marinated beef, kimchi, rice dishes I'd never tried. Helen kept refilling my plate, asking if I liked everything. This is amazing, Mrs. Morgan. Thank you. Please, call me Helen. We're family now. Family. The word hung in the air. Dr. Morgan poured more wine. So, Eddie, did you and Max's mother divorce when he was young? When Max was 8, she left for California. Haven't heard from her since. Max's face tightened. He hated when I mentioned his mother. That must have been difficult, Helen said softly, raising a son alone. We managed fine. Max has told us he was an excellent student, Dr. Morgan said. Getting into dental school is incredibly competitive. Max shifted in his chair. Dad worked hard to support my education. The opening I'd been waiting for. A chance to share what I was proud of. I was happy to do it, I said. Worked 3 jobs to pay his tuition. Max's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. 3 jobs? Dr. Morgan leaned forward, interested. Night shift at the steel mill, weekends driving taxi, and part-time security work. Whatever it took. My goodness, Helen said. That's incredible dedication. The tuition was $320,000 total. Took 5 years to pay it off, but Max graduated debt-free. Lenora's eyes widened. You paid the entire tuition yourself? Every penny. Max earned it with his grades. I just wanted to make sure money wasn't an obstacle. Doctor. Morgan set down his wine glass. That's extraordinary. The sacrifice involved... No sacrifice too big for your children, right? Absolutely not, Helen agreed. You must be so proud. I looked at Max. His face had gone pale. I am proud. Max has accomplished everything I dreamed for him. This is incredible, Dr. Morgan said. In my profession, I see so many young doctors crushed by student debt. What you did, it's remarkable. Max stood abruptly. Excuse me, I need some air. He walked toward the back door. I could see him through the window pacing on the deck. Is he all right? Helen asked. He gets emotional sometimes, Lenora said. He loves his dad very much. 5 minutes later, Max returned. His face was flushed. Dad, could you step outside for a minute? I want to show you something. I followed him to the deck. The evening air was cool. What did you want to show me? Max spun around. His eyes were blazing. What the hell are you doing? I don't understand. The sob story about 3 jobs? The $320,000? You're embarrassing me. How is that embarrassing? I'm proud of what we accomplished. We? There's no we. I earned my degree. I built my practice. I made something of myself despite where I came from. Despite where he came from. Despite me. Max, I was just sharing. Sharing what? How poor we were. How pathetic you were. They're looking at me like I'm some charity case. The words hit like a physical blow. Son, they seemed impressed by... I don't want their pity.
I don't want them thinking I needed handouts to succeed. It wasn't a handout. It was a father supporting his child. It was embarrassing. You made me look weak in front of my wife's family. My chest felt tight. I thought you'd be proud. Proud? Of what? That my dad was a janitor who had to work 3 jobs because he couldn't make enough money at one? Janitor.
Not even maintenance supervisor anymore. I was a steelworker, Max, and I worked those jobs because I loved you. Well, congratulations. You've ruined everything. He pulled out his phone, started dialing. Who are you calling? Uber. You're going home. Tonight. Max, please. No, I can't have you here anymore. Every time you open your mouth, you remind everyone where I come from. The Uber arrived in 8 minutes. Max wouldn't look at me as I gathered my things. What do I tell Lenora's parents? I'll handle it. Just go. He handed the driver a $50 bill. Take him to the Valero on Highway 290. He can catch a bus there. A gas station. Not even the airport. Max, don't. Just don't. The car pulled away. Through the rear window, I watched my son standing in the driveway of his perfect life. He never looked back. It was 1:07 a.m. when the Uber dropped me at the Valero. The driver seemed confused. You sure this is right, sir? There's nothing here but gas pumps and a convenience store? This is fine, thank you. I sat on the curb next to the air pump. At 68 years old, abandoned by my own son like a bag of trash. My phone buzzed. A text from Max. You ruined everything tonight. Don't contact me anymore. I'm done. I stared at those words for a long time. Done. 23 years of sacrifice, and he was done. Sitting there in the fluorescent glow of the gas station, memories flooded back. 23 years of choices. 23 years of putting Max first. It started the day his mother left. March 15th, 2001. Max was 8 years old. He came home from school to find her suitcases by the door. Where are you going, Mommy? California, baby. Mommy needs to find herself. She'd been having an affair with her supervisor at the insurance company, some middle management guy with a company car and promises of a better life. What about Max? I asked. He's better off with you. You're the stable one. Stable. Code for poor. She left that evening. Sent birthday cards for 2 years, then nothing. Max cried himself to sleep for months. Asked when Mommy was coming home. I don't know, buddy, but we're okay. You and me against the world. That became our motto. You and me against the world. The steel mill paid decent money, $18 an hour, overtime available. I could cover rent, food, basic needs, but college, medical school, that required a different level of financial commitment. I started planning when Max turned 10. First, I took the security guard job at the mall, 4 hours every Saturday, 8 hours Sunday. $12 an hour watching teenagers shoplift and elderly people walk for exercise. Max would come with me sometimes, sit at the security desk doing homework while I made rounds. Why do you have to work weekends, Dad? Saving for your future, buddy. When Max turned 14 and started talking about becoming a doctor, I knew I needed more. That's when I started driving taxi Friday and Saturday nights. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., navigating drunk college kids and late shift workers around Allentown. 3 jobs. Steel mill Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., security Saturday and Sunday days, taxi Friday and Saturday nights. I slept in fragments. Cat naps between shifts. Coffee became a food group. Max excelled in high school. Honor roll every semester. SAT scores in the 95th percentile. Acceptance letters from 6 colleges. Dad, I got into Penny. University of Pennsylvania. Ivy League. Pre-med program. The tuition letter arrived 2 weeks later. $45,000 per year. Plus room, board, books, fees. I sat at the kitchen table with a calculator and a notepad. 4 years undergraduate, 4 years dental school. Conservatively, $320,000 total. That night I applied for a 3rd credit card. College flew by. Max called every Sunday. Straight A's, research projects, MCAT prep. I sent money for textbooks, lab fees, study abroad programs. The credit card balances grew. $15,000, $30,000, $45,000. I picked up extra shifts at the mill. Worked doubles when someone called in sick. My supervisor, Pete Morrison, pulled me aside after one particularly brutal week. Eddie, you're working yourself to death. You okay? Just saving for my son's education. How much you need?
When I told him, Pete whistled low. That's serious money. You thought about taking out student loans. I don't want Max starting his career in debt. Pete shook his head. You're a better man than me. Dental school acceptance came with more bills. $80,000 per year. Equipment, instruments, clinical supplies. I refinanced the house, took out a home equity loan, opened investment accounts and liquidated them, sold my truck, and bought a used Honda. Year 3 of dental school nearly broke me. The credit cards maxed out. The home equity loan payments eating half my paycheck. I was working a double shift at the mill when it happened. The steel rolling machine grabbed my work glove, pulled my left hand into the mechanism. 2 fingers crushed, partially severed. I spent 6 hours in surgery, 2 weeks in the hospital, 3 months of physical therapy. The mill's insurance company called it a preventable workplace injury. Their lawyers offered $15,000 to settle. My lawyer, a guy named Tony Ritchie, shook his head. Eddie, this is worth way more. You lost 2 fingers, permanent disability. They're trying to lowball you. I need money for Max's final year. Trust me, we go to court, you'll get enough to pay for 10 final years. The case took 18 months. During that time, I survived on disability payments and credit cards. Max never knew how close we came to disaster. The jury awarded $8.2 million. $8.2 million. I paid off the credit cards, paid off the house, put $400,000 in Max's account for his final year and living expenses. Then I made a decision that changed everything. Instead of telling Max about the settlement, I invested the remaining money. Real estate in gentrifying neighborhoods, index funds, municipal bonds. Why didn't I tell him? Pride, maybe, or fear that easy money would change him. Over 6 years, $7.8 million became $29.2 million. Max graduated debt-free, opened his practice, bought his house, met Lenora. He thinks he did it all himself. Maybe that's better. Maybe knowing about the money would have diminished his sense of accomplishment. But sitting on that curb at 1 a.m., I wondered if keeping the secret was a mistake. My phone showed 47 missed calls. Probably Max, realizing he'd made a mistake. I checked. Wrong. All 47 calls were from an unknown number. Probably telemarketers. Max's silence was complete. I thought about the conversation we'd had 5 years ago, right after he opened his practice. Dad, you don't have to work anymore. I'm making good money. Let me help you. I'm fine, son. The mill pension covers everything. But you could live somewhere nicer. Maybe closer to me. I like my apartment. Like my independence. He'd looked frustrated. Dad, I want to take care of you the way you took care of me. You have your own life now. That's all the payment I need. If only I'd known that my independence would be interpreted as stubbornness, my humility as embarrassment. The gas station clerk came outside around 2 a.m. You okay out here, sir? Store closes in an hour. I'm waiting for a bus. Greyhound stop is across the street. First bus to Pennsylvania leaves at 6:30 a.m. Pennsylvania. Home. I walked across Highway 290 to the Greyhound station. A fluorescent-lit waiting room with plastic chairs and a vending machine. The ticket agent was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. Where are you heading, hon? Allentown, Pennsylvania. One way or round trip? I thought about that question longer than I should have. One way. That'll be $420? $420. Max's dinner last night probably cost more. I paid cash and took a seat near the window. Outside, trucks roared past on the interstate. People going somewhere. People with purpose. My purpose for 23 years had been Max. Now what? The bus ride took 14 hours. 14 hours to think, to process, to decide. I dozed fitfully between Dallas and Little Rock. Woke up outside Memphis with a stiff neck and a clear head. At a rest stop in Tennessee, I bought coffee and called information. Morrison and Associates, Allentown. My lawyer. The man who'd gotten me $8.2 million. Tony? It's Eddie Bennett. Eddie! Good to hear from you. How's retirement treating you? I need to update my will. Sure thing. You getting married again? He chuckled. No, I need to change the beneficiary. Silence. Everything okay? Everything's fine. When can we meet? Tuesday morning work? Say 10 a.m. I'll be there. The bus pulled into Allentown at 8:47 p.m. Sunday. I took a cab home,
paid the $23 fare, and climbed the stairs to my apartment. Everything exactly as I'd left it. The coffee cup in the sink, Saturday's newspaper on the kitchen table, my old recliner facing the TV. Home. I sat in the recliner and opened my laptop, checked my bank accounts for the first time in months. PNC Bank checking, $4,247.89. PNC Bank savings, $127,000. Vanguard Investments, $28,847,000 real estate holdings. $273,000. Total, $29,247,089. 89 cents. $29,247,089.89. Money Max never knew existed. I pulled out my current will. Simple one-page document. Everything to Max Edward Bennett, my beloved son. Beloved son. I thought about what Tony would ask me.
Why the change? What happened? What could I tell him? That my son was ashamed of me? That 23 years of sacrifice meant nothing? That he'd rather lie about my existence than admit where his success came from? No. I'd tell Tony the truth, but not the whole truth. I'd tell him I wanted to do something meaningful with the money. Something that would help other kids like Max. Kids whose parents worked 3 jobs and dreamed of college. The Bennett Scholarship Fund. I liked the sound of that. Monday morning, I drove to the bank, asked to speak with the private banking manager. Patricia Williams had handled my account since the settlement. Professional, discreet, never asked unnecessary questions. Mr. Bennett, how can I help you? I need to establish a charitable foundation, something substantial. Her eyebrows raised slightly. May I ask the size of the endowment you're considering? $28 million. She blinked, set down her pen. That's a very significant commitment, Mr. Bennett. Have you discussed this with family members? I am the family. Of course. What type of charitable work interests you? Educational scholarships for children from blue-collar families pursuing medical degrees. That's wonderful. We can absolutely help you structure this properly. She pulled out a legal pad and started taking notes. Will you be serving on the board of trustees? I'll be the primary trustee until my death. Then the bank can administer it according to my wishes. And the foundation's name? The Bennett Scholarship Fund. Any specific requirements for recipients? I thought about that. Students whose parents work in manufacturing, construction, maintenance, service industries. Kids who understand the value of hard work. Annual distribution amount. Start with $500,000 per year. Full tuition, books, living expenses for 4 or 5 students. She was writing furiously. This is remarkable, Mr. Bennett. You'll be changing lives. That's the idea. One more question. Will you be making any provisions for family members in your will? I paused. $1 to my son. The rest to the foundation. Patricia's pen stopped moving. Sir, I have to ask, is that intentional? The $1 bequest? It's intentional. May I suggest keeping that detail confidential until the will is executed? Sometimes family dynamics can become complicated when money is involved. Good advice. How long will this take to set up? 2 weeks for the foundation paperwork, another week for the will amendments. By month's end, everything will be in place. I shook her hand. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. This is the most meaningful work I do. Walking back to my car, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace, not revenge, not anger. Just quiet satisfaction that the money would go where it belonged. To kids who deserved it. To parents who sacrificed for it. To futures built on respect, not shame. Tuesday morning arrived crisp and clear. I dressed carefully. Not the funeral suit from Austin, but my good khakis and button-down shirt. The clothes of a man conducting important business. Morrison and Associates occupied the 3rd floor of a downtown office building. Same place I'd met Tony 6 years ago when the settlement came through. The receptionist remembered me. Mr. Bennett, how lovely to see you again. Mr. Morrison is expecting you. Tony's office hadn't changed. Law books, framed diplomas, photos of his kids playing Little League, the desk where he'd fought for my $8.2 million. Eddie, you look good. Retirement suits you. Can't complain. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. So, you want to update your will? Complete overhaul, actually. Tony pulled out a yellow legal pad. Okay, walk me through it. First, I'm establishing a charitable foundation. The Bennett Scholarship Fund, $28 million endowment. Tony's pen froze mid-word. 28 million? Eddie, your settlement was... I invested well. He stared at me for a long moment. How well? Well enough to change some lives. Tony leaned back in his chair. Jesus, Eddie, you've been sitting on this kind of money and living in that apartment? Driving that old Honda? Money doesn't change who you are. It changes everything. You could have a mansion, travel the world. I'm happy where I am. Tony shook his head in amazement. Okay, tell me about this scholarship fund. I explained my vision. Blue-collar kids pursuing medical degrees, full tuition coverage, merit-based, need-based. It's brilliant, Tony said. But Eddie, this is most of your estate. What about Max? The question I'd been expecting. Max gets $1. $1? $1. Tony set down his pen. Eddie, we need to talk about this. I've seen family disputes over estates. A $1 bequest sends a very specific message. It sends the right message. What happened? Last time we talked, Max was your whole world. I told him. Not everything, but enough. Max's shame about my background, the family dinner, the gas station. Tony listened without interrupting. I'm sorry, Eddie. That's brutal. It opened my eyes. But a $1 inheritance? That's scorched earth. Are you sure? I'm sure. Tony was quiet for several minutes, thinking. Legally, it's bulletproof. A $1 bequest proves intent. Max can't claim you forgot him or were mentally incompetent. But Eddie, this will destroy your relationship permanently. It's already destroyed. People say things in anger. He told me not to contact him anymore. He meant it. Tony sighed. Your money, your choice. But I have to ask, is there any scenario where you'd reconsider? If Max apologizes, if he acknowledges what I sacrificed, if he shows even basic respect for the life that gave him his life. And if he doesn't, then the scholarship fund gets everything. Tony spent the next hour walking me through legal details, foundation bylaws, tax implications, trustee responsibilities. This will take about 2 weeks to finalize, he said. Once it's done, the foundation becomes irrevocable. You can't change your mind. I won't change my mind. What about publicity? A $28 million foundation will attract attention. Keep it quiet until after I'm gone. Fair enough. Tony closed the file. Eddie, can I give you some advice? Shoot. Don't tell Max about this. Not yet. Give him time to cool off. Maybe he'll come around. Maybe. But I knew better. Wednesday afternoon, I drove to the bank for the foundation paperwork. Patricia had everything ready. Mr. Bennett, I've prepared all the documentation. The foundation will be established as soon as you sign. Any problems? None whatsoever. Your attorney and I coordinated everything. Once this is filed, the Bennett Scholarship Fund becomes a reality. I signed 12 documents. Each signature transferred a piece of my life's work into something bigger than myself. Congratulations, Patricia said. You're now the founder and primary trustee of a major charitable foundation. How soon before the first scholarships? We can begin accepting applications immediately. First awards could be distributed by fall semester. Perfect. Thursday morning, my phone rang. Max. I stared at the display for 4 rings before answering. Hello, son. Dad? His voice sounded strained. Are you okay? I've been worried. Worried. 3 days later. I'm fine. Good. Listen, about Saturday night. Here it comes, I thought. The apology. I think we both said things we didn't mean. Both of us. Like I'd done something wrong. Did we? Come on, Dad. You know how stressful those family things can be. Lenora's parents, they ask a lot of questions. They seemed nice. They are nice, but you have to understand my position. I'm trying to fit in with these people. Fit in by denying who he was. I understand your position, Max. Do you? Because sometimes I think you don't realize how hard it is for me, having to explain our situation. Our situation. 23 years of love reduced to an embarrassment. I realize more than you know. Good, so we're okay? We're something. A pause. What does that mean? It means I heard you loud and clear Saturday night. Dad, I was upset. I didn't mean... You meant every word. Another pause. Longer this time. Fine, if that's how you want to play it. But don't expect me to keep calling. I don't expect anything anymore, Max. Good, because I'm done trying to manage your feelings. The line went dead. I set the phone down and walked to my kitchen window. Outside, Mrs. Patterson from 2B was hanging laundry on her balcony. She waved when she saw me. I waved back. Normal people living normal lives. People who understood that family meant loyalty, not shame. Friday morning, Tony called. Everything's finalized, Eddie. The foundation is established. The will is updated. You're officially one of Pennsylvania's most generous philanthropists. How does it feel to be rich? I asked. Tony laughed. I'm not rich. You're rich. I just help rich people with their paperwork. Not anymore. I'm just a retired steel worker with a one-bedroom apartment who happens to control a $28 million foundation. Details. Eddie, for what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Max will understand someday. Maybe. But I wasn't doing this for Max anymore. I was doing it for the kid whose dad works 3 jobs. The kid whose mom drives taxi on weekends. The kid who earned straight A's and dreams of medical school. The kid I used to be. The kid Max forgot he used to be. 2 weeks passed in blissful silence. No calls from Max, no texts, no guilt trips, just peace. I spent my days reading, walking around the neighborhood, having coffee with other retirees at Murphy's Diner. Normal retirement activities. The only difference, I now controlled a $28 million scholarship fund. Mrs. Patterson knocked on my door Thursday morning. Eddie, you have a visitor downstairs. Young man in a fancy car. Through my window, I saw Max's BMW parked in front of the building. He was pacing beside it, talking on his phone. I took my time getting dressed. No rush. If Max wanted to see me, he could wait. When I finally came downstairs, he was leaning against his car, arms crossed. Took you long enough. I'm 68, Max. I don't move as fast as I used to. He looked tired, dark circles under his eyes. His usual perfect grooming slightly off. We need to talk. About what? About this nonsense between us. Lenora thinks I should apologize. Lenora thinks, not Max thinks. Lenora's a smart woman. Look, maybe I was too harsh in Austin. But Dad, you have to understand. I understand perfectly. Do you? Because I've been thinking about this, and you're right. I should be proud of where I came from. The words sounded rehearsed, like he'd practiced them in the car. Should be, but you're not. I am proud. Of course I'm proud. Max, you told your wife's parents I was a maintenance supervisor. That was just... You put me in a hotel instead of letting me stay with you. We don't have a guest room. You upgraded yourself to first class and put me in coach. His face flushed. You noticed that? I notice everything. Dad, those are just practical things. They don't mean anything. They mean everything. Max pushed off from the car, frustrated. Fine. You want me to grovel? I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry I was embarrassed. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I left you at a gas station.
Are you sorry you told me not to contact you anymore? I was angry. People say things. Are you sorry you called me pathetic? I didn't call you pathetic. You said I was pathetic for working 3 jobs. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. Max rubbed his forehead. Dad, what do you want from me? Blood. I came here to apologize. No, you came here because Lenora made you. So what? I'm here, aren't I? You're here because it's convenient, not because you mean it. I do mean it. Then tell me what you're sorry for. Max stared at me. What? Specifically, what exactly are you apologizing for? For hurting your feelings? That's it? For leaving you at the gas station? What else? I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to say you're sorry for being ashamed of me. Sorry for lying about what I did for a living.
Sorry for treating my sacrifice like it was something embarrassing.
Dad, I want you to say you're sorry for forgetting that everything you have came from a man who worked 3 jobs so you could become a doctor. Max's face darkened. Here we go again, the martyr routine. Excuse me? You and your endless sacrifice, your constant reminders about how hard you worked, how much you gave up. You do it all the time. Every conversation becomes about how much you suffered for me. That's not true. It is true. I worked 3 jobs. I paid your tuition. I sacrificed everything. Do you know how that makes me feel? How does it make you feel? Guilty, like I owe you my entire life. There it was, the truth. You don't owe me anything, Max. Then why do you keep bringing it up? Because I was proud of it. I thought you would be too. Well, I'm not. I'm grateful, But I'm not proud of being poor. We weren't poor. We just didn't have much money.
Same thing. No, it's not. Poor is a mindset. We were rich in other ways. Max laughed bitterly. Rich? Dad? You drove a 15-year-old truck. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. You bought my clothes at Walmart. And you turned out fine. I turned out fine despite all that. Not because of it. The words hit harder than I expected. I see. Do you? Because I don't think you do. I think you're stuck in this fantasy where being broke was somehow noble. It wasn't about being noble. It was about taking care of my son. By working yourself half to death, by never having any money for fun, by making me feel guilty every time I wanted something normal kids had. You never went without. I went without plenty. Do you know what it was like being the only kid in high school who couldn't afford a class trip? Who had to explain why I couldn't go to prom because we couldn't afford a tuxedo? I remembered that prom. Remembered working extra shifts to scrape together tuxedo rental money. Max had said he didn't want to go. You said you weren't interested in prom. I lied. I was interested. I just didn't want to add to your stress. Max. And college? Do you think I enjoyed watching you work 3 jobs while my roommates got care packages and spending money from their parents? You never said anything. What was I supposed to say? Hey, Dad, stop killing yourself for me? You could have talked to me. About what? How embarrassed I was that my father looked exhausted all the time. How I made up stories about what you did for work because I was ashamed. Ashamed of what? Of having a father who smelled like steel shavings, who fell asleep at my high school graduation because he'd worked a double shift. That graduation. I'd been so tired. Tried so hard to stay awake. I'm sorry about that. It's too late for sorry, Dad. The damage is done. What damage? I spent my entire childhood feeling sorry for you, and feeling guilty for feeling sorry for you. Do you have any idea what that does to a kid? I didn't know what to say. Max continued, his voice getting louder. And now, every time I succeed at something, I hear your voice in my head. Remember who paid for this. Remember who sacrificed for this. I can't enjoy my own accomplishments because they're all tied to your suffering. I never meant. Of course you didn't mean it. But that's how it feels. Like I'm living your dreams instead of my own. Your dreams came from somewhere, Max. They came from me, my work, my intelligence, my ambition, and my 3 jobs. There it is again. See? You can't help yourself. He was right. I couldn't. Max, I'm proud of what I did for you. Well, I'm not. I wish you'd taken out student loans like everyone else. I wish you'd let me figure it out myself. You would have started your career in debt. So what? Most people do. At least then I'd feel like I earned what I have. You did earn it. No, I didn't. You earned it. I just benefited from it. That's not... It is true. And that's why I can't stand hearing about it anymore. That's why I told Lenora's parents you were a maintenance supervisor. Because I needed to pretend, for one night, that my success was my own. The honesty was brutal, but at least it was honest. I understand. Do you? I understand that you're ashamed of me. I understand that my sacrifice was a burden instead of a gift. I understand that you'd rather I'd been a different kind of father. Max's anger deflated slightly. Dad, that's not... It's okay, Max. Really, I understand. I don't want you to understand. I want you to stop making me feel guilty. I'll stop. How? By staying out of your life. Max blinked. That's not what I meant. It's what you need. Dad, you're right about everything. My sacrifice was selfish. I should have let you struggle more. I should have been prouder of myself and less focused on you. I didn't say... You said enough. I turned toward the building entrance. Where are you going? Inside. You have a life to live. Go live it. Dad, wait. Don't worry about me, Max. I'll be fine. When will I see you again? I paused at the door. When you're ready to be proud of who you are. All of who you are. I climbed the stairs to my apartment and watched from the window as Max sat in his car for 20 minutes, staring at his phone. Finally, he drove away. That night, I called Toni Morrison. The will stands as written, I told him. Eddie, are you sure? I'm sure. What happened? My son told me the truth. Finally. And? The truth set us both free. 6 months passed. 6 months of silence from Max. No calls, no texts, no unexpected visits. Patricia Williams called in November with good news. Mr. Bennett. The Bennett Scholarship Fund has received over 200 applications for next year's awards. That many? Word is spreading through guidance counselor networks. We have some remarkable candidates. Tell me about them. Maria Santos from Pittsburgh. Her father's a welder. Mother cleans office buildings. 4.0 GPA. Wants to be a pediatrician. Perfect. James Wright from Erie. Dad's a truck driver who lost his leg in an accident. James has been working at McDonald's to help support the family while maintaining a 3.9 GPA. How many can we fund this year? With a $500,000 annual distribution, 5 full scholarships, these kids will graduate medical school debt-free. 5 kids, 5 families. 5 futures changed forever. When do we make the announcements? December 15th. Perfect timing for college application deadlines. I'd like to personally notify the winners. Of course. Mr. Bennett, this foundation is going to change so many lives. It already has. December 10th, my phone rang at 7:23 a.m. Unknown number. Is this Edward Bennett? Speaking. Mr. Bennett, this is Jennifer Morrison from Morrison & Associates. I'm Tony's daughter. I'm calling about your son, Max. My chest tightened. What about him? He's here in our office. He received some documents yesterday that, well, he's quite upset. The will. Someone had leaked it. What kind of documents? A copy of your updated will. Mr. Bennett, he knows about the foundation. How? We're not sure. The documents are marked confidential, but someone sent them to his dental practice. Is he there now? Yes, sir. He's asking to speak with you. Put him on. A moment later, Max's voice filled the line. Shaky, desperate. Dad, is this real? Is what real? This will, this foundation, $28 million. No point denying it. It's real. Where did you get $28 million? I invested the settlement money. What settlement money? For my accident at the mill. A long pause. How much was the settlement? $8.2 million. Jesus Christ. When? 6 years ago. You've had this money for 6 years? Yes. And you never told me? No. Why? Because you didn't need to know. I didn't need to know that my father was rich? I'm not rich, Max. I'm comfortable. $28 million isn't comfortable. It's wealthy. It's extremely wealthy. It's enough. Enough for what? Enough to help kids whose parents work 3 jobs. Silence on the other end. Dad, the will says I get $1. That's correct. $1 out of 28 million? Yes. Why? You told me you were ashamed of my sacrifice. This way you won't have to live with any reminders. That's not... I didn't mean... You meant every word. Dad, I was angry. I said things... You said true things. You're ashamed of where you came from. You don't want to owe your success to my struggle, so now you don't. But Dad, the money goes to kids who won't be ashamed of their parents' sacrifice. This is insane. You can't give away my inheritance. Your inheritance. Not my money. Your inheritance. It's my money, Max. I can do whatever I want with it. But I'm your son. Are you? Because sons don't usually abandon their fathers at gas stations. I apologized for that. You apologized because Lenora made you, not because you meant it. I did mean it. Max, you told me you wished I'd been a different kind of father. Well, now you can pretend I was. I don't want to pretend anything. Dad, we can work this out. We can talk about this. We did talk. You made your feelings very clear. My feelings have changed, have they? Or have your financial interests changed? That's not fair. Fair. You want to talk about fair? Fair would be a son who's proud of his father. Fair would be gratitude instead of shame. Fair would be respect instead of lies. Dad, please, I know I screwed up, but this is extreme. You're giving away everything. I'm giving it to kids who deserve it. What about me? Don't I deserve something? You deserve exactly what you earned. What does that mean? You earned your medical degree, your practice, your success. You told me so yourself. You don't need anything from me. But we're family. Family doesn't abandon each other at gas stations. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Dad, I'm begging you, don't do this. Change the will back. We can start over. Why? So you can be ashamed of me again? I won't be ashamed anymore. Because now you know I have money? No, because I understand what I lost. What did you lose? My father. I lost my father. No, Max, you threw him away. Please, Dad, give me another chance. I gave you 30 years of chances. What can I do? How can I fix this? You can't. There has to be something. I thought about that question. Really thought about it. Can you change the past? Can you make it so you never lied about my job? Can you make it so you never left me at that gas station? Can you make it so you actually meant your apology instead of just going through the motions? Dad, can you give me back 30 years of pride in my son? Can you give me back the respect I earned by working 3 jobs? Can you give me back the love I thought we shared? We still share it. No, Max, we don't. You love the idea of me now that you know I have money, but you never loved the reality of me. That's not true. It is true, and that's okay. But it means we're done. Dad, please. The will stands. The foundation continues. You get your $1 and your freedom from my embarrassing sacrifice. I don't want freedom. I want my father back. Your father died at that gas station. I'm just the man who pays for scholarships now. I hung up. The phone rang immediately. I turned it off. 2 hours later, Max was at my door, pounding, shouting, "Dad, open up! We need to talk!" I sat in my recliner and read the newspaper. He pounded for 20 minutes before giving up. That afternoon, Patricia called. "Mr. Bennett, I hope it's okay that I'm calling. We've had some inquiries about the foundation." "What kind of inquiries?" "Media. Apparently word has leaked about the size of the endowment." "How?" "I'm not sure, but Allentown Morning Call wants to interview you about your philanthropy." "No interviews." "Sir, this is a positive story. Your generosity? No publicity until after I'm gone." "Understood." That evening, Mrs. Patterson knocked on my door. "Eddie, that young man was back. The one with the fancy car. He left this." She handed me an envelope, my name written in Max's handwriting. Inside, a check for $100,000 made out to the Bennett Scholarship Fund. A note attached. "Dad, I want to contribute to your foundation. It's the least I can do. I'm sorry for everything. Please call me." "Max." I tore up the check. "Some things can't be bought, not even for $100,000. Christmas came and went quietly. I spent Christmas Eve at Murphy's Diner with other people who had nowhere special to be. Meatloaf and mashed potatoes, apple pie, coffee that was too strong, good company, people who understood that sometimes family is what you choose, not what you're born into. Mrs. Patterson invited me for Christmas dinner. Her daughter and grandkids were visiting from Scranton. "You shouldn't be alone on Christmas, Eddie." "I'm not alone. I'm peaceful." "That's not the same thing. It's better." But I accepted her invitation anyway. Her family was warm, loud, chaotic. The grandkids fought over presents. The adults argued about politics, normal family stuff. After dinner, Mrs. Patterson's daughter pulled me aside. "Mom told me about your son. I'm sorry. These things happen. Still, family should stick together. Family should respect each other first. Have you heard from him since he calls? I don't answer. Maybe you should. People change. Some do, some don't." She nodded thoughtfully. "Mom says you're doing something wonderful with your money, trying to help some kids. That's beautiful, turning pain into purpose. I'd never thought of it that way, but she was right. New Year's Eve, I got a call from Maria Santos, one of our scholarship recipients. 'Mr. Bennett, this is Maria. From Pittsburgh?' Hello, Maria, how are you?" "I'm incredible. I just got accepted to Penn's pre-med program. Congratulations." "Sir, I wanted to thank you personally. Without your scholarship, this would have been impossible. You earned it with your grades, but you made it possible. My parents..." They cried when I told them. My dad hasn't cried since his father died. "They should be proud. You're going to be a wonderful doctor." "I promise I'll make you proud too. You already have." After she hung up, I sat in the dark thinking about pride, about what it means to be proud of someone. I was proud of Maria, a girl I barely knew. But I couldn't be proud of my own son anymore. That hurt more than I expected. January brought more calls from scholarship recipients. James Wright from Erie, Angela Rodriguez from Altoona, Kevin Murphy from Harrisburg. Kids whose parents worked construction, drove trucks, cleaned buildings, fixed cars. Kids who weren't ashamed of where they came from. Kids who said thank you instead of, "You embarrassed me." Each call reminded me why I'd made the right choice. February 14th. Valentine's Day. Max sent flowers, red roses, 2 dozen, expensive. The card read, "Dad, I love you, I miss you. Please give me a chance to make this right." "Max," I gave the flowers to Mrs. Patterson. "They're beautiful, Eddie. Why don't you want them?" Because they're not an apology. They're a bribe. Maybe he means it this time. Maybe. But meaning it now doesn't change what he meant then. March brought unexpected news. Patricia called with concern in her voice. Mr. Bennett, I need to tell you something. Max contacted our office directly. About what? He's threatening legal action. Claims you're not mentally competent to manage such a large estate. I wasn't surprised. What did you tell him? That we have extensive documentation of your mental acuity, recorded conversations, signed documents, witnessed transactions. His case has no merit. Good. Sir, he also claims you're making this decision based on temporary anger, that you'll regret it eventually. Will I? I don't know. Will you? I thought about that. Really thought about it. Patricia, let me ask you something. If you sacrificed everything for your child and they told you they were ashamed of your sacrifice, what would you do? I'd be heartbroken. And if they apologized only after learning you had money? I'd question their motives. And if they threatened to sue you for giving your money to charity? I'd know their true character. Exactly. Mr. Bennett, I have to ask, is there any scenario where you'd reconcile with Max? If he proved his change of heart was genuine, how could he do that? By respecting my decision, by stopping the legal threats, by supporting the foundation without expecting anything in return. And if he did that, then we could have a relationship, but the will wouldn't change. You'd forgive him but not reward him? Forgiveness isn't the same as inheritance. That's a hard line. Hard lines protect soft hearts. April showers brought May flowers, and with May came the first graduation ceremonies. Maria Santos graduated summa cum laude from community college. Full ride to Penn in the fall. James Wright was valedictorian of his high school class. Pre-med track at Temple University. I attended both ceremonies, sat in the back, watched these kids cross the stage, watched their parents beam with pride. Honest pride, the kind that doesn't need to hide its source. After Maria's graduation, her father approached me. Mr. Bennett, I'm Carlos Santos, Maria's dad. He was small, weathered, hands scarred from years of welding work. She's remarkable, your daughter. She gets it from her mother, but sir, I want you to know what you've done for our family. There are no words. There are words. Thank you works fine. Thank you isn't enough. It's everything. He gripped my hand with both of his. My daughter will be a doctor because of you. Your daughter will be a doctor because of her hard work and your sacrifice. Our sacrifice doesn't matter without your opportunity. Your sacrifice is everything. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. He nodded, tears in his eyes. That night, driving home through the Pennsylvania spring, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Complete peace. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. My money was helping families like the Santos family, families who understood that sacrifice was love, not embarrassment, families who knew the difference between gratitude and shame. That was enough. That was everything. 2 years later, I'm still here, still in my one-bedroom apartment, still driving the Honda, still having coffee at Murphy's Diner. The Bennett Scholarship Fund has grown to 15 recipients. 15 kids from blue-collar families pursuing medical degrees. Maria Santos is thriving at Penn. James Wright got into Johns Hopkins for medical school. Angela Rodriguez is studying to be a pediatric surgeon. Kids who write thank you letters. Kids who invite me to graduations. Kids who understand the value of sacrifice. Max and I haven't spoken since that Christmas 2 years ago. I hear things through Mrs. Patterson, who hears things from her hairdresser, who knows someone who knows Lenora's family. Max and Lenora divorced last year. Apparently the stress of the inheritance situation created problems in their marriage. Max moved back to Pennsylvania, opened a practice in Bethlehem, 20 minutes from here. He drives past my street sometimes. Mrs. Patterson has seen his car, but he doesn't stop. Maybe that's for the best. Last month I got a letter from Toni Morrison's office. Not about legal matters, about publicity. The Allentown Morning Call found out about the foundation. They want to run a feature story about the anonymous philanthropist transforming lives. I finally agreed. The story runs next Sunday. Steelworker's Secret, $28 million legacy helps blue-collar kids become doctors. Maybe Max will read it. Maybe he won't. Either way, the world will know that sometimes the greatest wealth comes from the humblest places. That parents who work 3 jobs aren't embarrassments to be hidden. They're heroes to be celebrated. I've been thinking about my own father lately. He died when I was 12, worked construction his whole life, never made it past 8th grade. But he taught me something Max never learned, that a man's worth isn't measured by his paycheck or his title. It's measured by his character, his sacrifice, his love. I was a good father to Max, not perfect, but good. I worked 3 jobs. I paid his tuition. I put his needs before my own. That was love, not embarrassment. If Max can't see that, it's his loss. But these scholarship kids see it. Their parents see it. And that's enough. The foundation will outlive me. Long after I'm gone, kids from working families will become doctors because their parents' sacrifice was honored, not hidden. That's my real legacy. Not a son who is ashamed of me, but hundreds of kids who will be proud of where they came from. Kids who will remember that success built on sacrifice is success worth celebrating. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Share your thoughts about family, sacrifice, and what we owe to those who gave us everything. Question for you. Should parents who sacrifice everything for their children expect gratitude in return? Or should love be unconditional, regardless of how it's received? And have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and self-respect? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments. Sometimes the hardest decisions teach us the most about who we really are.